Hey, what's up, guys? We have the TFT patch notes for patch 11.16. Let's just get right into it. We have a little summary here. They're changing a lot of the Radiant items because turns out some of them were kind of not played that much and some of them were a little overused. We're going to get into that. We're going to go into all the champion changes as well as some of their cosmetic changes that they're doing as well. We'll do the cosmetics later. Let's jump into the large changes because that's why we are all here. So first up, the traits. We Legion care about social impact, but also the Legionnaire champions that don't significantly benefit from the trait. Cough Draven. Yeah, that is true. So we remove the requirement for casting a spell to trigger healing on the next auto attack and are instead giving flat and versatile Omnivamp. While Abomination was nerfed in 11.15, players have dug up just the right items to arm this underground bodybuilder, allowing for Abomination 3 to be too grave of a threat. This is very true too. Abominations, they were very strong in the beginning of the set. People kind of strayed away from it for a while, and then they discovered new items and new builds to put on it, and then it was like super OP again. That's how the game works sometimes. Like something gets nerfed, you find a new way to play it. You could have probably played that way even beforehand, but sometimes things don't get discovered because people get kind of complacent. But I'm glad people were able to discover some of the stronger ways to play the builds, because that's what like learning the meta is all about. So Abomination Monstrosity stage scaling is reduced by 4%. The health is being reduced at just level 1. And then the Abomination health per star level is being reduced at 1 star, stays the same at 2 star, and increased at 3 stars. So the first 3 Abomination spike, not going to be as strong. It's still going to be good, just not as strong. And then later in the game, they give it like a tiny bit more scaling. They rework Legionnaires so that they have the bonus attack speed and heal for a portion of the damage they deal with attacks and abilities, and then the Legionnaire attack speed remains unchanged. They also now have Omnivamp, where they have 15, 20, 25, and 35% Omnivamp based on your level. So now we are going to go on to the champions. So champion tier 2s, if only Tristana could jump on a rocket and escape this nerf. That is very true. Dude, Tristanas, they get Bloodthirster on them. You like have a unit, your high DPS unit, they're attacking her, then she jumps all the way to the other side. You're chasing her down, she heals all the way up. You attack her down a little bit, and then she jumps to the other side again. Super annoying to deal with, so I am glad that they are doing this nerf, but her attack speed is being reduced at 2 and 3 star, and then Aurelia Defiant Dance base damage reduction is being reduced by 10% at all levels, and then her attack damage is also being reduced by 5. She's a 3 trait synergy person, and all her 3 traits are pretty popular right now, so that's why she is pretty strong. Onto champion tier 3. With few levers to work with and an incredible reliance on star level, Nocturne's been a nightmare to keep balanced. That is true. By adding ability power damage scaling and reducing the power gap between 1 and 2 star, Nocturne will be easier to balance now and in the future. So Nocturne's spin ability now deals bonus physical damage. Umbra Blades now scales with ability power, and then the base attack damage ratio is reduced to compensate for that. And now Nocturne's Umbra Blade heals are being 100% flat and no longer scales with ability power. His Umbra Blades also get an attack speed buff, which is now a flat 35% instead of scaling like how it was before. We're going to have to go to our mathematicians to find out how this affects him, like whether he has more damage or less damage based on what stars he has or what items he has and what synergies he has. But I'm guessing they are going to nerf him slightly based on the overall sum of these changes. Now onto the tier 4s. Is Lucian ambidextrous? I'm not too sure. Lucian's lack of interaction with on-attack items is confusing and limiting for his build path. I thought there are not that many on-attack items, though. They kind of removed them all from the game. To counteract this and lend the Sentinels a helping hand against the Black Mist, we're allowing him to proc on-attack effects. But because we're only lending one helping hand, we're only letting him apply on-hit effects after every other shot. This should make him stronger with items like Hurricane, but to compensate, he'll now lose some power from Lost Cannoneer procs. I almost left out that you'd be right in saying Lucian isn't ambidextrous. The mathematically correct Lucian comp left Galio at 1 star, which was a mismatched strategy that socked for Galio while being rather contrived for players. A health decrease should push players away from this build path and into ones that value Sentinel team over one influential player. So I don't know if you guys know, but there's like this mathematically correct Sentinel build where you'd always try to get the buff onto Lucian so you would not complete units such as Galio 2 star. Whether it was actually better or worse is up for debate, but it was just one way to kind of approach the comp if you really wanted to get a strong buff on your Lucian. Again, up to debate whether having the Galio 2 would reduce or increase your chance of winning. Because sometimes, like, even if you don't get the buff on your Lucian, if Galio's doing a lot of work in the front line tanking everything, that more than makes up for getting a Lucian with a buff. So it really depends on what the matchups were and whether you need that extra tankiness on your Galio or not. But they removed that interaction, which is a little weird because I thought someone found an innovative way to play, and they kind of just gutted that pretty much like the patch after it was discovered, which is a little weird for me. I thought that they liked having people kind of innovate like that. So Galio Shield of Duran healing 50 to 60%. Galio Shield of Duran duration 2 to 2.5 seconds. And then Galio Shield of Duran damage is being reduced at 3-star by a lot. Karma's Soul Flare damage is being increased, and this makes sense. Karma wasn't really played too much. All the AP comps, Karma and Vel'Koz, were kind of left out in the dust, honestly, in this last patch. Not that they're bad, they're just not good compared to everything else, which I guess means they are bad. So Lucian, every other shot from the Coiling now counts as an attack, and Lucian's health is being reduced by 100 health. All right, now onto the items. So aside from a quick Quicksilver buff, the goal of the Radiant item changes below is to bring the over and underperforming Radiant items closer together. So I'm guessing they looked at what's the most picked Radiant items, what is the best performing Radiant items, and kind of just tried to balance it all out. I'm all for it because Radiant is a very important mechanic in this set, and like you need to be able to use all of them, you know? So Quicksilver crowd control immunity duration is being increased to 15 seconds. Blue Blessing Radiant bonus ability power is being increased by 10%. Stoneplate Armor and Magic Resist being bumped up by 5. And then Demon Slayer base damage amplification being buffed by 5% as well. I'm surprised this item isn't being used more because Demon Slayer and Giant Slayer, because a lot of people are building Warmogs and a lot of people are running Abomination. So I'm actually surprised people haven't played Giant Slayer that much yet. Winsu's Reckoning is now going to have 30% attack speed. Covalent Spark is now being reduced from 2% health regen to 1%. Glamorous Gauntlet critical strike damage buffed by 10%. Locket of the Targon Prime is being buffed by 100 for every level. Rabadon's Death Cap is being buffed by 10%. Redemption down 10%. Stark's Favor up by 15 damage. And then Sunlight Cape Radiant bonus health regen is being bumped down by 0.5%. I wonder if there's ever a time where it's actually good to get Static's Favor, because no one really has a build that uses this buff. I feel like they're going to remove this item in the future because normally this item in the past at least has been used for win streaking. They tried to make it sort of like a anti-magic resist item, but unless you really build around this item, no one is really going to use it that effectively. So I'm guessing they're going to remove Static Shiv in the future or actually buff it so it's an early game item and just leave it at that. Small changes. The biggest impact with these changes come from the memories my lines bring back. So adjustments to traits here. Okay, so Sentinel 3 has been a powerful opener or less powerful at 6 and 9. So Cannoneer Cannon Shot attack damage percent scaling is being reduced at level 1. Hellion attack speed is being increased at 2 Hellion, reduced at 6 Hellion, and reduced at 8 Hellion. Nightbringer Shield max health scaling is now being changed, and it is being nerfed at 6 and 8 Nightbringer, and then Nightbringer bonus damage is being nerfed at 8 Nightbringer. Interesting. I didn't really know people were going for like that deep of Nightbringer builds. That's actually news to me because normally I don't even see people playing like 4 Nightbringer a lot of times. They just do a 2 Nightbringer build and then just play random units instead. Ranger attack speed is now being increased at 5% for 2 Rangers. Sentinel bonus attack speed is now being reduced at 3 Sentinel, and that is it. And then Skirmisher attack damage per second is now being buffed at 6 Skirmisher, and that is going to be all the changes for the traits. Let's get into the champions. Champions tier 1. Leona's getting a mana buff, which is 40 mana at the start, so that is pretty significant. It's going to make her much better in the stage 2 portion of the game. She kind of just doesn't really fit any comps going later because they're just better Vanguards than her and they're better redeemed units than her. So this should make her much more dominant during stage 2 and parts of stage 3 as well. Olaf Berserker Rage heal on basic attack is now being nerfed a little bit at all levels by 5, and then Vayne attack damage is being increased by 5. I'm glad that they're not buffing Vayne too much by using her ability to buff her or attack speed, because she's either like super out of hand or she's unplayable. So they just need to slowly buff her, maybe like give her a little health buff, give her a little attack damage buff like they're doing now. And maybe she'll reach a threshold where she's like playable sometimes, but like only when you're supposed to go her, not like all the time or not none of the time. Champions tier 2, Thresh might not be able to complete this sentence after. Sejuani Fury of the North, bonus armor and magic resist is being reduced at all levels. Yeah, Sejuani's broken, guys. She is so tanky. She fits in all the good tanky comps. Like, she's a brawler, she's a cavalier, she's a Nightbringer. What more can you ask for? Sett armor and magic resist is being increased. Thresh death sentence damage is now being reduced at all levels. I don't know why Thresh's damage was feeling like it was too much. I've never really heard of a complaint of it, at least. But if anyone did experience some like bad experiences with Thresh when facing him, or like broken opportunities when using him, do let me know down in the comments below. Varus attack damage is increased by 5. And then champions tier 3 insecticide. Lee Sin cripple damage is being reduced at 3-star, and then he's also getting a mana nerf by getting his total mana increased by 10, which means he casts later. And then Lulu Whimsy ally attack speed buff duration is being increased by 1 second. Riven Blade of the Dawn bonus attack damage is now being reduced at 3-star Riven, and she's also getting a nerf in her attack damage. That's weird. Like, no one really plays Riven from what I've seen. Like, I've seen people go for it if the opportunity is presented to them, but no one's ever like, wow, like Riven 3 is so broken. It's mainly complaints about Yasuo, which I guess we're going to get into right now. So Yasuo, Burning Blade damage. I guess we also have to keep in mind maybe the Omnivamp change for Legionnaires might have affected or prompted this slight nerf. I'm not really too sure. But Yasuo, Burning Blade damage is being reduced at 3-star by 50, which is pretty sizable. And then the stacking true on hit damage is being nerfed again at 3-star. And his attack speed, whoa, they're doing a lot to him. This is actually a lot. So if you only did like 2 of the 3, I think that'd be more fair. But nerfing his attack speed is actually pretty big, in my opinion. Is he still playable? Probably, but you want to be careful because getting stuck or hard stuck on Yasuo 2 is like a death sentence in a lot of games. Unless you transition to a secondary carry or into a different comp completely. So unless you really get the 3-star, you're going to be struggling a little bit compared to all the other comps. And I don't know. I feel like making the reward not as big makes the risk kind of not worth it, but we'll have to see. Champions tier 4, Ivern Daisy stun duration is now being reduced at all levels, or at levels 1 and 2. And then Rel is getting a 50 health damage nerf, which is pretty expected. Rel is pretty broken too. She's like AoE stun, frontline, super tanky, Cavalier. It's a lot. So it's Dawn of Heroes. These heroes need to stop sleeping in, with Draconic 5 being more accessible. High-roll Heimerdingers in the early game have been slightly more attainable. That is true. Pretty much every good build has like a Heimerdinger in it, and a lot of it comes from having Draconics, and the power spikes were too much. So Action, Heroic Swing, attack speed is now being buffed at levels 1 and 2. Garen, Godline's Justice % health damage is being buffed at 2-star. Garen max mana is getting buffed from 100 to 170. They might need to do this a little more. They nerfed Garen a lot as a set came out. So this buff probably doesn't quite make up for it yet. Gwen's Skip and Slash, Armor and Magic Resist Steal is being increased by 2, which is double what it was before. So that's actually quite a big amount. Heimerdinger upgrade, his Dragon Ball fire damage is now going to be less at 1-star. Oh, I'm actually... Okay, we gotta give like a round of applause to Riot Games because they didn't nerf his 2-star too hard. I feel like if you get like a 2-star legendary, they should be slapping really hard. So I am proud of them that they held off the nerf hammer and only nerfed his 1-star. Volibear Dunebringer's stun duration is now being reduced at 1-star, and that is going to be it for the champions. So items, before we get into items, if you guys are enjoying this rundown so far, we are going to be doing a tier list for the best comps to play in this set every single Friday. So if that is of interest to you, go ahead and subscribe below if you have not already, and hit the like while you're at it if you guys are enjoying this video or are already subbed. But let's get into the items. So with how powerful Sunfire Cape has been in the early game, we were thinking of renaming it to Slamfire Cape, but decided to give it a slight nerf instead. I agree with that because this joke was a little weak compared to all the other lines in this patch. So Rabadon's Death Cap ability power is being buffed by 5%. Redemption missing health is now being reduced from 20% to 18%. And then Sunfire Cape burn damage, 25% max health to 20%. That's actually a pretty big nerf. That's 20%. That's 20% of the damage. And then Sunfire Cape burn duration, 10 seconds to 8 seconds. Okay, that's actually a good nerf. So they didn't nerf it like in one dimension. They nerfed it one way, but then buffed it another way so that it's still doing the same amount of damage per second or like something similar. And that just means you need to keep your Sunfire Cape user alive for longer to reapply the buff constantly. So I'm actually like pretty proud of them for this change because they didn't just completely gut it. Bug fixes, T-Rex's Envy. Nunu will now cast at his increased attack range when he has Radiant Rapid Fire Cannon equipped. Double Rainbow meets Double Tornado. Zephyr and Radiant Zephyr can no longer hit the same target. Oh man, that would suck if you had that. Ignore the Trolls. Lucian's channel is no longer interrupted by taunts. Winded Yet, Radiant Zephyr's attack speed buff will now be properly removed at the end of each combat. And then tooltip miss, Senna's last embrace now has the stun duration in the tooltip. All right, that's good. That's all good stuff. Let's get into the Sentinel little legends. So they added some new cosmetics. If you guys are interested, these guys actually look pretty cool. Costs like $2 for some eggs. We did do an egg giveaway in my last video, so go ahead and check that out and leave a comment there to enter. And I'll also be doing a giveaway on my Twitter sometime this week or next week. I'm not really too sure yet, but do keep an eye out for that and do follow me on Twitter to participate in that giveaway when I announce it at twitter.com/BunnyMuffinsLOL. But you guys can check out more info on the cosmetics in this article here. If you guys check out the patch notes, I'll leave a link in the description below. I don't really care too much for cosmetics. They are fun. I do use like a couple of the little legends. I like Dango the most for those people who are familiar with this channel. But if you guys are into the Sentinel ones, they actually look pretty decent, right? Like I kind of like the bottom one the most, especially since I normally hate like the Hauntling guy, but this one actually looks the best out of all these three. I'm sorry guys for not posting as much this set. I'm kind of just going through a lot of IRL stuff. I'm like trying to do a move. I have like a couple weddings to go to and just trying to figure life out in this new world, I guess. So I will be posting more probably like later in the set after the end of the month when I am done moving, and definitely going to go back to my full-on hardcore like TFT schedule once set 6 hits, because that's apparently going to be like the biggest set of TFT. They say this every set, but you know, like we believe them every time, and I actually am really looking forward to that. It's not because set 5 is like bad or anything. I kind of enjoyed set 5, but I just happen to have like a lot of other stuff going on right now, so that's why I'm not posting as much. I know some people are like asking me to make more videos and stuff like I've done in the past, but it will be coming probably at the end of the month. Once I'm done and fully settled in like a new place. So sorry about that, guys. I know a lot of people who like have been watching my channel for like years now or something like that have been wondering like what's going on or something like that. So it's just like dealing with stuff I have to do in real life, but hopefully that'll be over soon and we could go back to making TFT videos. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. I will see you all later.